at Summit, everything was going awesome, I had conferences, and then I ended up with a mild traumatic brain injury. And AKA a concussion, which if you know about those protocols that you kind of file away, yeah, that's what a mild traumatic brain injury is. Those are the physical symptoms, and I guess I didn't realize the extent to which these would affect me. I was literally in a dark room for 4 weeks, and I couldn't stand up without feeling nauseous, dizzy, light sensitive, noise sensitive, and losing my balance. It was so fun. There was no reading, no writing, no rigorous exercise, no screens. And if you know anything about me, you basically know that this was the equivalent of hell. And so I became really best friends with Siri. Siri was basically my only source of news, my only way to connect with the outside world, or with my family who was downstairs and I needed a drink of water or something. Unfortunately, however, Siri and I had a little bit of a rough start, and she didn't quite understand some of my commands. Being the grammarian that I am, this was very difficult when no one understood what the heck I was saying. Soon my friends even thanked Siri instead of me. And this is my dog Ginger, who must have known something was going on because she lay beside me. And I remember posting this and how excited I was when my kids and my husband, who's here, were my scribes and editors. What I didn't anticipate were the emotional changes. So the darkness really affected my mood too. I pretty much cried every day for 4 weeks. And like I said, the equivalent of hell. And what I think was really interesting to me is that you realize that life goes on, right? So everyone's doing their conference thing, and my new position as a teacher librarian was filled. Life happens, and it did. And then I discovered Jane McGonigal, yes, Professor McGonigal, and her TED Talk was amazing because she had experienced the same things. And she gave me a sense of hope. But more than that, she gave me what was called an app, which she created an app after her concussion called Super Better, which I highly recommend. It basically takes you through quests, and you have to challenge bad guys, and so if I would walk down the stairs one day, I would get points. And so I became Jennifer the Concussion Slayer, thinking I got this. So I got points every time I did this. I figured I was bound to happen somehow, that this was all going to work. The only problem with feeling like a concussion slayer is that a lot of the cognitive symptoms and some of the physical symptoms, you just can't beat. It's just the way it is. And so you can will yourself to be better, but you actually can't be better. The only thing that happens is time. Apparently 3 months is the average, but the average includes people who recover after 2 days, as well as people who recover after 2 years. And so I'm continuing to wait it out. It really made me think about education. And in particular, when we think about equity and equality, there are kids that absolutely need some of those accommodations. I absolutely needed Siri. She's the only thing that kept me going. And I had spent so many years teaching teachers about assistive technology. And I would say, necessary for some, good for all. But it wasn't until this experience that really, really, really made sense to me. And I look good. Well, you know what I mean. You can't tell when you look at me that I'm suffering from MTBI. And I think about all the kids in our classes, when you look out at them, who look okay. And this resonates most with me now. Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know absolutely nothing about. I think we need to keep that in mind. In particular, I share my experiences because I want you to think about not just being careful of doors, but recognizing what's important to you in life, slowing down, and really being empathetic towards others. Thank you very much.
Wow, now we're back on. Good. That was amazing. And I think it really hits home to me when you talk about recognizing that everybody is fighting some kind of battle that you might not know about. I will also try and lighten the mood and say, I also cry every day for 4 weeks starting August 1st. Who's with me? Up next, it's no surprise now because the slides are already up there. Fun fact about Debbie and I is that we made a movie once that I've yet to see.
I haven't. Oh, yeah.
Well, there you are. Come on up, Debbie Donsky.
All I wanted growing up was to be seen. I don't know if it was the function of being the middle child of 5 kids who were much more brilliant than I was, but I was sure that I was absolutely and completely invisible. I have distinct memories of speaking and no one acknowledging that I've actually said something. To this day, my worst nightmares are me screaming and absolutely no sound comes out. This feeling of invisibility was with me in school, at home, and with friends. I know, don't you feel sorry for me? I remember being obsessed with characters like Snuffleupagus and Pokeroo on Polka Dot Door and Winnie the Pooh because they were all a function of someone else's imagination. Not everyone could see these characters, and it helped me to understand that somehow being visible only to a few made you special, and it made me feel a little less alone in the crowd that I was in. When I was a little girl, my brother used to tell me that my whole life was a dream and that my real name was Billy Snot. Being a trusting and gullible person, I became unsure of what was real and what was imagined, and now I just see it as an early lesson in postmodernism. When I think back, it wasn't anything anyone did or said that made me feel this way. I think it had much more to do with the internal function of my imagination and the fact that I was certain that I was completely different from everyone else around me. Okay, 1 second. Stick it. Okay. I could talk to birds and they would understand me. I could see spirits in the trees, and babies would always stare at me, and they still do. They just stare at me when I'm out. There was something that told me that they could see something that evaded almost everyone else around me. When my daughter Rachel was in grade 1, the first year that our children get their first real evaluation, the comment on a report card said, "Rachel is a quiet, well-behaved little girl." It infuriated me. I gave myself a few days before requesting a meeting with the teacher because I thought, no, I'm an educator, I need to be a partner, not antagonistic. I went into her teacher and I told him that Rachel was probably scared and that's why she was quiet, and that all he really needed to do was to be silly with her and make her laugh. She was born as an entertainer. She talked by the age of 1. Now, almost finished high school, she's a drama major at a Toronto school. She's successful, active learner, and though she still struggles with trusting people with who she really is, she's chosen a path that challenges her to be true to herself. So what is this desire to be seen? It is a desire for connection. Brené Brown tells us that empathy is the antidote to shame. She reminds us that we are all imperfect, but still worthy of love and belonging. 2009 film Avatar has the expression "I see you," and it's a deeper expression than "I love you." What it means is that when you see me, you bring me into existence. Much like the word namaste, it is not about a greeting to say hello, but in fact it acknowledges that the divine spark in me sees and acknowledges the divine spark in you. Think about that for a minute. Imagine what we would be like if each time we greeted a person in our schools, at our office door, the staff who report to us and the colleagues that we work with, if we actually saw them and recognized that they too, like us, had a divine spark in them. How different would our classrooms, our schools, our teams, our parents, our families, and truly every single relationship we have be if this was the case? My son Max pointed out to me that it's no coincidence that children disengage when they hit middle school. As soon as they get onto that rotary system, he tells me that teachers have not known him since he left grade 6. He says that's why they have guidance counselors, because they're the only ones that see the kids. No offense, secondary teachers. As an educator, I have always tried to act from this place of empathy. I try to understand that the struggle that someone is going through and see them, truly see them, despite the fog that might be surrounding them. Whether it is my commitment as an equity educator and ally, my belief that technology plays a vital role in creating spaces of possibility for voice and community, or the understanding I meet an upset parent with when he or she comes to my office, It is always empathy that drives those spaces and relationships and creates opportunity. Empathy is not a new or innovative idea, though it is an essential element in design thinking and innovation in general. When we act from a place of empathy, in the service of those in our care and in our circle of influence, we change the trajectory of education as one that is responsive, inviting, and inclusive. That's it.
Floyd. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you. So, a few weeks ago I asked these guys, and I said, what am I totally passionate about? What do I talk about all the time? What do I think is like the best thing in the world? What is like the thing that I can talk about forever about? And our 6-year-old, that's Max on the right, he said, well, you got to do it about beer. So then I thought, that's a great suggestion, but I asked Lisa, I asked my wife Lisa, she's here, I said, what is like the best topic in the world? What would everybody want to listen to for like 5 minutes? And she said, well, why don't you do it about me? So I'm not going to do about Lisa or beer. I decided I'm going to do driving to work, driving home from work, what is it I'm thinking about all the time? And in our computer science and computer engineering classes, it's the projects that they do. So I started thinking about this, and I started thinking that the projects are sort of the main thing that we do in my classes. So we do things in order to get to the projects, and the projects are sort of the windows into the student's brain. So this is the deliverable they do, this is the thing they show us what they know by making something. But I like to think of it more as a vehicle, as this thing that takes students to a place. So they start in one spot, they get this assignment, and where they end up is somewhere entirely different than where they started. So we've been working at having these projects be vehicles to get them places. This is our first example. This is actually called a useless box. This was Eliza a few years ago. And with an Arduino and some servo motors, you flick the switch, and the box itself flicks it back and goes back to sleep. This is like Lisa on Saturday, pull the covers off, she pulls them right back over. Now this project drove this student through the learning. It drove her through computer science, computer engineering, electrical engineering, mechanical engineering. It's a useless box, but she learned a great deal by completing this assignment. This is our little drone assignment from a few years back. So this is a drone, we bought it from China somewhere, and the students programmed a Raspberry Pi. So the Raspberry Pi takes a picture every 10 seconds, and they did it with Python code, and it's really neat to play with strings and loops and things like that. So one day the principal was away, and we flew this on the football field. And it drove home to our students issues of privacy, security, issues of ethics, laws, policies, which when you speak to 17-year-olds, it's a hard thing to get them to listen to, and by flying a drone outside, this worked. We followed up by having them write an essay. The question was, did Mr. Floyd break the law yesterday? And they had to research all of these laws, which was about 3 years ago, all of these laws related to drones, and it turned out that we had, in fact, broken the law. This is our premiership program. So students are given a data file of when all the goals were scored in the premiership season, and they have to determine the distribution of these goals. Our goals scored at the start of the game, at the end of the game, in the middle of the game. And what ends up happening, these students work on these for a day or two, and then they come to me and they say, Floyd, I don't know how to do this project. Like, no kidding. I'm not trying to give students projects they already know how to do. We're trying to give them projects that will drive them to a place that they haven't been before. So sometimes I was giving them solutions to problems that they didn't even know they had yet. And so now we flip this a little bit. So we sometimes provide these things to them at a later date, and it has a lot more value to them. So students are stumped on these projects. They'll now actually go try to find the solution. And if not, then they will come to me, and now that information that I have is actually valuable to them. So they will sit and they will listen and they understand why these are important solutions to these problems. This is a nice project. This is from a student from just a few weeks ago, and I overheard another student speaking to him, and they were talking about my class, and the one student who I've taught several times said, yeah, you have to kind of get used to these courses. You have to get used to Mr. Floyd's projects. And this student finally kind of got used to it. And he made this entirely on his own with Arduino and LCD and ultrasonic sensors and servo motors. And he starts to understand how he can do this stuff and apply it like without knowing how to do it at the start, but he learns throughout this process. As I was putting this together, it dawned on me that I was probably wrong. So as I was thinking about all these projects, I realized it's not the projects that made these things so valuable. It was that they were connected to the right people. They were connected to Eliza and Troy and Leanna and John and these people that had made these. So we talk about teaching being a science and an art. There's the science and the pedagogical, blah, 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 and the scaffolding. But the art is that these are people. Like, these are young kids. These are people who are grumpy, people who are mad, people whose dad is passionate about beer. This is who we're having to teach. We're having to teach these people. So it's the people that are at the center of what we do, and we may need to make an effort to understand these people. If we can listen to them, read what they're reading about, or read what they're writing about, and we really know their interests, then we can start to make projects that are like very, very valuable to them, and maybe that will help them actually learn this stuff as they go, and it's a nice sort of idea for life. Thank you very much.
So November, Brian made fun of me for wearing a bow tie, so today I'm not.
I like it.
So in November, I started talking about kids being doers instead of doing things, but today I kind of want to switch tunes and talk more about a personal story and something I've been on a reflective journey. Last year, at the exact same time, Angela Mayers spoke here at Connect and said these two words, "You matter." And she said that these two words can change the world, can change people. And that's what I like to talk about today. You see, 3 years ago, my daughter Izzy started school. And it was a revolutionary thing for me. Now, you may think she's a pretty cute kid. And I'm a little biased, I think so too. But she has a lot of issues going on. She's actually the first percentile in her communicative language, and 56 for her receptive. So you can see that's kind of a big problem in JK. The problem though, she ended up hating JK. Can you imagine that? Hating junior kindergarten. And the thing is that her struggles are real. And it got me thinking about how I can help her and how I can help my students. And I got talking about Dr. Green and his collaborative problem solving. And it's really about listening to kids and getting them thinking about their problems and working through them and trying to understand it. Now this goes against everything that we can ever think about as we grew up. I grew up in an Asian family, spare the rod, spoil the child. But that doesn't work unless you want to be in the blue pages. Let me take it one step further. This year in my class, I got a new student. And from the previous class, they told me he was a big behavior. He threw chairs, he swore, he hated school. I asked him why. He said, well, people think I'm annoying. I said, you're not. And he goes, thank you for listening to me. And really what it was that he was just misunderstood. And Daniel Seeger says this: hungry, angry, lonely, tired. And these are the 4 reasons why kids are often disruptive in our class. And we have to understand who they are. This brought me on to self-regulation and understanding Stuart Shanker's work. And he says something very profound. There's not one bad child that he's ever come across. Not one bad child. Now, before I had Izzy, I would have disagreed with him. Except now Izzy is that child. And I'm trying to understand from that perspective. And the thing is that she's not a bad child. She's just misunderstood. The lucky thing is that in kindergarten, she ended up with a fantastic teacher who knew she was. In fact, I got this picture sent to her. That's her JK picture, but I don't have the real one. She came to school wearing goggles and a house coat, and I got Big Lembowski written on top of it in an email. That's my daughter in a nutshell. She's a princess, but she's like proud and unique. She understood. So when Angela said, "You matter," that was profound. And I started this You Matter board with my kids. And my kids started writing compliments to each other. They started writing their aspirations, their dreams of who they are. They even started writing a legacy and trying to leave feedback to the next year's grade 6s. And they said to me, at first, just listen, be nice to Mr. So. But then they said, be with people who make you better. Leave a legacy. Believe in yourself. I knew I had them. This year, I've really focused on collaborative problem solving and community circles. In fact, my principal told me I'm going to have a really difficult class. They're really unique people. And, but they've changed. When I wrote my report card, she was really upset. She goes, I don't think these are the same kids. And I said, yeah, they are. But I decided to ask them, what is the difference that's made the difference? You know what they said? You listen. I was like, I listen? Don't your other teachers do? No. You listen. When we have a problem, even if it's about a pencil, even if it's about losing my favorite toy, you take the time to care who we are and what our problem is. It's real to you. And that was a profound statement to me. And I had thought about that. And we're going to hear, I'll actually go back to Isabel for a minute. When she was 5 years old, so same JK, she decided to make a fire truck in Minecraft. I didn't know how to do that. She YouTubed it, found the switches, and made it. Our kids are just like her. They're special, they have a unique passion, But if we don't take the time to understand who they are, if we don't take the time to realize their passions, then I think we've done a disservice to who they are. We're going to hear amazing things today. We've already heard amazing stories about passions and about things being mattered and people being the real thing. But if we do all these crazy things like robotics, coding, and makerspaces, but our kids don't want to be at school, does it really matter? So, I'm going to end with these words saying, thank you so much for listening to me, and you do matter to me.
Minecraft makes me think about the work of Seymour Papert, who obviously I follow very closely with his body of work, but he was interested in creating this place called Mathland where kids recognized math in the real world. He said things like, you know, if you want to learn French, go live in France for a while and experience it. And if we can create those experiences for our kids, call it Mathland, they'll learn math. And I think Minecraft is that space to not only get kids engaged in what they're doing, but get them invested in what they're doing. I no longer think that student engagement by itself is enough. We have to actually have them invest in what they're learning. Up next, we have You Matter. Better known as Virtual GIF, Jen Giffen is here. Am I saying it right? Giffen? It's Giffen. Jen Giffen, everyone.
Hi, everyone. I was really, really good at playing the game of school. You all know the game, right? You say to your teacher, what do you want me to say? And then you say it back to them in slightly different words, and they look at you with pride, and they think you're so clever, and you get an A, and it's amazing for me. But recently I heard that for 1/3 of students, that doesn't work. And as a teacher, notwithstanding a mother of 3 children, that's a really scary stat for me. I'm here tonight to share 2 stories with you. And as I tell them, I want you to think, how can we as educators do better? My first is about my friend's son, Spencer. Spencer is in grade 3. He is 8 years old. He has recently, at the recommendation of his teacher, undergone testing for ADHD. You see, Spencer's the kind of kid you need to fight. You need to fight him to get out of bed. You need to fight him to do his work. You need to fight him to go to school. Some days you need to fight him to do to breathe oxygen. Okay, he's that kid. And recently it's transferred into his extracurricular activities. Spencer plays the piano. But he hasn't really played the piano. He jumps around. He's never done a test. He's never played a song. He can't play the piano. But a year later, he's still in piano lessons. So cut to a day we're at a school. They say, we're looking for someone to play O Canada at our character assembly. Who can do it? And Spencer, of course, volunteers. The boy who's never played a song. And he goes home and he plays, and his mother finds the note in his agenda saying Spencer's going to play. And she panics. And she calls the piano teacher and says, Spencer volunteered to play O Canada. Something that can't be faked. At the assembly, and what do we do? And she's like, well, when can I do it? When's this happening? She goes, 5 days. In 5 days. So every morning for the next 5 days, my friend and her husband are awoken to the sounds of O Canada on their piano. The boy, who they had to fight to get out of bed and had to fight to do anything, was downstairs. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Spencer. Will it play? Is it going? Oh, I hope it plays. Good. I like it. Oh, can we go back? Can we make an exception? Please rise for the playing the national anthem.
Yes.
Break the rules? Okay. princess teacher. So for those of you who don't know, that's someone who works with students who aren't identified but could use the help of a CERT. And I worked a lot with a kid named Daniel. He was really good looking, he was athletic, he was really popular, he had a really kind soul, and he struggled in school a lot. And he was a kid that would rather look lazy than stupid, so he waited to the last second to do all of his work. And one day, we were working very hard on his culminating activity for his 11 college English class that was due the next day. And he sat at the computer and he worked right through his English class, and he worked right through his lunch with his friends. He worked through phys ed, and he worked through his last period. And I called his mom and I said, wow, he's been working really hard. I think he wants to do well. Can you work with him tonight at home? She said, absolutely, Mrs. Giffen, I will make that happen. And the next day she called me and she goes, he finished, and he actually seems proud of his work. That was never heard about this kid. So I go running upstairs, I was all excited, and I go to my colleague, I'm like, Daniel, hand it in, right, it's there. And he goes through the papers, and he goes through again, and it's not there. And I go tearing down the hall, because I have given all of this energy. This kid has worked so hard. His mom has given up an evening. I've given up a day where I could have worked with other kids, and I'm demanding to know. And I go and I haul him out of his Italian class, and I say to him, I'm like, what is going on? I worked hard, you worked hard, your mom worked hard. Why didn't you hand this in? And I go up one side of this kid and I go down the other. It is not my finest moment in my career. And he stares at the floor. And when I say, I demand that you own this behavior, he looks up at me and his eyes are glassed over. And he says to me, I didn't hand it in, miss, because when it's in my bag, it's still good. And my heart shattered into a million pieces. That line, my friends, is engraved in the tapestry of my teaching soul. And I asked myself, what are we doing? And so I'm not going to impart my lessons on you tonight because your layers of your onions are different. But I want you to think about what it is that we can do better. How can we help a kid like Spencer, who is about to be diagnosed with ADHD but can learn to play O Canada, not faked it, in 5 days? How can we help a kid like Daniel, who would rather look lazy than stupid and leaves his work in his bag so he still has the pride of it being good? We can all do better. Thank you.
There it is. We have one speaker left before our first intermission. Somebody I've known for a while in the online space, but have actually just met for the first time a few weeks ago, and 3 times since. Mr. Joe Archer. Yeah!
All right, so it's brand new to me, so I gotta do it this way. So this is me and my daughter. Last year when I came to Connect, I was introduced to Twitter, and it's kind of transformed me a little bit as an educator in a classroom. So it's my journey and the power of Twitter in education. So Twitter's named after Larry Bird. I'm not sure if you guys knew that. It did not invent the hashtag. Currently, Katy Perry has the most followers, followed by the Bees. 140 character limit. It was all due to the cell phone. My favorite things, parents can follow Twitter handles in the classroom, see the daily learning. Teachers can share sways, nicks, snips, forms, kaboots. Community can be polled to engage the inquiry in the classroom. My favorite is the, it's going to scale. Seeing my kids work and having conversations with them as a parent is great. So parent engagement drastically improved with the Twitter. They can see what's happening. It's fantastic. Networking with other educators. I think this is where I've developed my PLN really well. You can learn more and share. You can expand experiences and collaborate. Promote networking through groups, through hashtags, and direct messages. We're just getting into this now in Grand Erie, so using instructional coaches to come into the classroom at any time. I think Twitter's powerful that way instead of having like little meetings here and there. So it's engagement, inquiry-driven, collaboration at any time is great. Sharing personal highlights. I think this is a good motivator. It breeds culture, forward thinking. Opens conversations with new experiences. Microsoft, whatever. You're gonna walk the walk, you gotta talk the talk, whatever, up there, yeah. I really like the direct messaging, so this is opening conversation with people that you don't have a regular thingy with. So this is really cool. So Twitter's opened the door to limited opportunities for me. Do you find people with similar interests? You partake live in conversations, immerse in the learning that's happening. You get a global mindset. They're incredibly rich. My kids have been really interested in going above and beyond and using Twitter to network out, and Twitter helps keep things secure, so that's out there. Tweet meets and hashtags, these have been powerful for me. I'm new to Twitter, it's about a year or so, but I found tweet meets very powerful. I'm not sure about those, they're about 45, 60 minutes, 6 to 8 questions, predetermined, there's a guest speaker. Learn a lot, collaborate, and whatnot. I like sketch notes. They're inspirational for people. Angela Myers, George Caros, Sylvia Duckworth. Enlightens a day, helps some kids, stimulates some current understanding, promotes discussion. PD opportunities. Twitter provides. I put it up there just for you guys. Just follow different groups and people. It provides lots of training opportunities. They're great. Documents, links to podcasts and stuff. I really like how Twitter allows me to see other people's links, all their documents, some of their podcasts that they're sharing. And harness instructional coaches that's limited to this in the classroom. I really like this end of things. I like to share the cool stuff that my student teachers are doing. Nick's here today. He's one of them right up there in the corner. Got some great people that I like to show off and whatnot for all the great things they're doing. Get them out there to get them networked and communicated out there with everyone else. Just let Twitter, I know you guys are all on it, but let Twitter become your vehicle for networking, your personal growth and whatnot. And share your ideas. I like the blogs. These are really cool. It defeats that 140 character limit. I like to share those experiences and stuff. We've really connected with Thomas Biscay up in the International Station right now. We did a little tour of his little room. Personal contacts and moments. You celebrate your child's life and moments with families and friends around the world. I'm a volunteer firefighter, and we just lost a brother, and I shared something that way. Twitter's allowed me to take my classroom to spectacular views. As everyone knows, Hatfield took us up there a while back, but now my classroom got to experience the GoPro, first ever GoPro on a space dock, 2 months back. So anyway, that's it.
Up next we have Ryan Smith, a bit of a quiet coder, I think, but he does some really, really cool things. What I learned about this guy today is he spends his free time reading the terms of service on every website because it's important. Ryan Smith, everyone. Hi, everyone. So I'm passionate about drinking water. Are you? Especially the public kind. And have you ever wondered why there's no commercials for public drinking water? How does this affect our public opinion of drinking water? Why does bottled water get preference and tap water gets nothing? And I wonder in the room, how many Hilroy distinguished educators are there in the house? You're using worksheets effectively and their pencils awesomely. Why is that? And why do we look at the way of advocating for certain things? Does this make pen and paper bad? Is pen and paper bad? Is this the best? Is pen and paper the worst? Why are we advocating and saying that this is the best form of education or engagement? Is it? Are worksheets the worst form of education or engagement? I learned from worksheets and I made it here. Is it that bad? I don't know. But I wonder to myself, where is, the bad or the good or the engaging, the not engaging? What is it that it makes it good or bad? And I turn to balance. This is yin and yang. I didn't go with the symbol. I thought I'd go with that. And yin and yang represents balance. Balance between effective, not effective, engaging, not engaging. And I'm actually getting passionate about that. Engagement. I'm nervous as hell. Yin and yang is the absence of, it's not the absence of one thing, but the balance between the two. It's finding the right mix. It's the right mix of
tech and paper, group and individual, inquiry, rote practice. I got to do Mary Cathy Gallagher. And what is it? Is it higher thinking? Is it facts? What is the best? Is it sitting in the hallway in your phones, sitting with others, is it in groups? Where is the balance in all these things? I got a notification. Is it sitting in rows with your hands up? Where's the balance between these things? Extroverted, introverted? I think as educators we need to consider balance more, not the extremes of one versus the other. I love that meme, and I almost put an inappropriate one up. But I think us as teachers are that balance point. We're the fulcrum in the balance. You got to think of yourself as finding that place and position. What goes on one side or the other side of the balance? Who is the middle? Where is that line? I'm also passionate about coding, and I may have followed some of you in this room because of coding. And I think coding is amazing, but I think sometimes we talk about computational thinking and being like, that is engagement. But it's also sometimes the road followed along. I would love all my students to make logic diagrams of every single project they ever made before they did it, but sometimes they need to sit there and know how the broadcast code works. And they need to sit there and work at it. There's nothing wrong with guided coding. And I think finding the balance between guided and computational thinking has its value. Balance is key, and it's important to think, and I hope you all think about it here in this room. The SAMR model is awesome, but if you spend all your time in the deep end, you're going to get tired and drowned? I don't know. But I think that this is a place where we can also think about balance. Are you substituting? That's okay, and that's a fine place to be. The same thing with redefinition. I go home at night and check email and read privacy policies. I have no balance. I'm chained to my computer. I hope you talk to your spouse. Mine yells at me. Ask me, why do I spend so much time looking at my screen? Do you have that balance? Because I don't. And I think we all need to look at that and think, unplug. Where is your routine, and are we modeling that for students? Are you showing your students balance? Are they sitting in the hallway like 4 slides ago, pretending to hang out with each other on a device? Is that balance? The other concept I'm passionate about is the Wu Wei, and it's the concept of non-doing. I'm not the laziest guy on earth, but I'm a big fan of the idea of natural action. Actions that don't involve struggle. I used to work here. That was my workplace. I worked with young offenders. And when I worked there, we would let students undergo something called natural consequences. You didn't tie your shoelaces and you fell, that's your fault. And I hope you learn from it. Not me telling you to tie your shoelaces. How many people do you enable in your job? I'm a consultant. Are you enabling people or helping them move forward? Are you helping build capacity? Let people learn from their consequences. Help them. You need to follow the path of non-doing and help people learn for themselves. Hold on, gotta go next slide. There's too many notifications. How do you enable people to learn from themselves? You gotta build trust. And in building trust, you can empower that person later. I wanna thank you for your time. I'm done. Holy man, I'm shaking.
So I don't have notifications jumping up. So my name is Kaylyn Dorland. I teach grade 3 at Queen of Heaven in the Halton Catholic District School Board. And I'm so excited to share with you my passion, which is global collaboration and global education. Human unity. This is a term that I use quite frequently when I'm talking about this subject. It speaks to the idea that no matter where you're from, no matter your faith, your background, that we're all equal, we all matter, and that we can achieve great things together. How do we do that as educators? We need to understand each other. We need to show our students how easy it is to connect through video conferencing and through global collaboration projects that you need to learn with and from someone. My journey began a couple years ago when I joined the Microsoft Educator community, which has changed my life. And we have connected and Skyped with many classrooms from all over the world, including Spain, Portugal, Brazil, India. Those are the kids there. India, it was just me that Skyped with them. I ended up reading them a book because it was too late. But it's just bringing the world to your classroom and teaching your students that there are other people around the world that exist and have interests just like them. I created a project called Who to You, which is a global collaboration project that uses Skype and Sway. So students actually get paired up with another student in another part of the world. They actually research and create a sway project together. And my favorite part is that they actually get to present their sways live on a split screen, so they're standing there with their partner on one side and then their sway on the other. And so what an experience. It's like having 2 classes in the room at the same time. It's super awesome. So how do you do that? Skype. So if any of you were at my session today, it's very important that you know you have to do a test call. I did do one today, I swear I did, but unfortunately it just sometimes doesn't work. And that's part of the learning, that you actually have to show your students that you can be resilient. Google Hangouts is actually something I've never used before, but I want to learn more about it. I know a lot of schools and a lot of classes actually do use Google Hangouts as a way to connect and collaborate with other classes. And how do we find these teachers? How do we get connected? Twitter is my actual favorite one to reach out and meet new teachers. Facebook, the MIE community. Yammer for your own network in your Office 365. And then Ontario has the new TVO Ontario Network one as well. So I can't say enough, Joe, get social. Share, inspire your stories. The more that teachers see that you're connecting with the world, the more they're going to want to do that as well. So tweet, get it out there, show the world that you're connecting. Virtual field trips, cannot say enough about them. You can bring experts, you can bring scientists, you can take your kids anywhere you want to go. And we've been to a polar bear exhibit, we've been to the Edmonton Zoo, and we didn't even leave our classroom. I actually got my kids to put on winter jackets when we went to go visit polar bears. So Skype in the classroom is a great way, a great place to go to start looking for those virtual field trips, as well as educators you can connect with. Discovery Education also has a ton of resources and live virtual field trips that you can take your kids on as well. Actually, that's the polar bear one that we went on. Super awesome, very engaging, learned a lot. Now, last couple weeks ago, I actually went to an ed camp in Halton, and I learned about Joe Grabowski and his fantastic project for Explore by the Seat of Your Pants. Look this up. I am telling you, you will be floored at the Google Hangouts and the Skype in the Classroom virtual field trips he has. There are global collaboration projects going on all around us, and this is actually a friend of mine that just started a Human Differences project that has 33 countries involved. And this year my students actually worked with Right to Give, and we are now working to raise money for students in Africa. And I bring this up is because I just joined this special project that helps teach kids in Africa. So I actually am very proud now that I'm going to be a Canadian ambassador for this school. And I'm sharing it with you because we're always looking for teachers that are willing to spend some time to teach these kids. And they just got a new shipment of laptops, so they're ready to go with some solar energy and some solar power and laptops. So let me know if you want to get involved. That quote there. Really important for me. There's so much going on in the world, and I hate to say it, but I feel like there's a lot of negative stuff going on. And we want to teach these kids that you can reach out and make a difference by just getting to know someone. And I think that's the greatest tool that we have. So I want you to think about this. How will you build your professional learning network? And how are you going to use your professional learning network with Leah? How are you going to use your personal learning network to reach out and connect your classroom to the world? Thank you guys very much.
I don't have much of a voice, so you'll have to bear with me. How's everybody doing tonight? Good, good. It's been an incredible week at Connect. Is anyone feeling like me?
You want to go home now? You want to take a nap? Okay, take a nap. Good night.
Tonight I'm proud to share my passion and belief that teaching and learning is about our ability to build relationships. James Cormer once said that no significant learning happens without a significant relationship. And Sugata Mitra believes that children can teach each other if they are motivated by curiosity in relationships.
A colleague said to me one time, they don't pay me to like the kids. They pay me to teach a lesson. Kids should learn it. I should teach it. They should learn it. Well, I said to her, you know, kids don't learn from people they don't like.
So if we know that learning happens happens through a series of significant relationships. How are we helping students connect to learn that extend their experiences beyond the walls of our classrooms? And how are we teaching students to network with others, a life skill for socializing, learning, and experiencing the world today? Because without relationships...
In 1930, the Republican-controlled House of Representatives, in an effort to alleviate the effects of the, anyone? Great Depression, passed the, anyone?
The power of engaging students in relationships for learning is that everyone has genius, something valuable to contribute. And as Angela Meyer so passionately believes, the world needs our contributions. So what happens when we bring students together to connect to learn? Genius. Every month, my team hosts an AMDSB Kids Chat, where we discuss topics relating to character education, social justice, and citizenship. Change doesn't happen by simply asking our students to imagine relationships with others. Change happens when we build real-world relationships, learn how to network, and experience the power of a network community. Change happens when students create, share, reflect, and connect in digital spaces while making their learning and thinking visible, searchable, and available to others. Change happens when we build relationships for learning. And I believe we have a responsibility to teach students to connect to learn with each other, with children around the world, and with community learning partners. When we connect to learn, we invest time in the relationships that are necessary to move learning forward. And relationships are the foundation of A Kid's Guide to Canada, a national teacher-led initiative, offering all K-8 students in Canada an opportunity to mark Canada's 150th plus by creating Canada's first ever multilingual, multicultural, interactive guide to Canada created by kids for kids, and in the process build a new era of understanding, empathy, and respect.
I see the streets where we all play, where we ride and run all day, and that patch of woods we like to roam. I see the city where my uncle lives, down along the water where grandpa lives. I see the places we call home, and that's beyond the map. There's my town, that's my street, winding around, that's beyond the map. Hey, hey.
It's a good drinking song.
That's beyond the map, and here I stand, that's my state, and this is my land, that's beyond the map. Hey, hey. I see the wildlife preservation, where we take our summer vacations. I see the trails around the lake. There's a river where we go fishing, and that's a mountain I'm wishing I'll be climbing up someday. And that's beyond the map. There's my town, that's my street, winding around, that's beyond the map. Hey, hey. And that's beyond the map. Here I stand, that's my state, and this is my land, that's beyond the map.
When we connect to learn, we discover the responsibility we have to care for each other and leave the world a better place. I'm Leigh Cassel. Cheers.
I don't know what the first call was. That's pretty good. That's not part of my spiel. I just wanted to know what the slide deck was about. Okay, so Brian told me about this, and I knew I had to talk about educational reform, but he didn't give me anything really to talk about, and I knew, looking at the audience, I was going to have to deal with those one-percenters again. Those one-percenters of education, of course. So I thought I'd give you a history lesson. This is the agora in ancient Greece. This is how education worked in the past. people openly shared information and knowledge, and they developed things like geometry, algebra, maybe not algebra, but at least geometry. Then we reach the Middle Ages. It's the dark times. People are ignorant. Why? Because the rich want to stay rich. If I can have an ignorant population, then I can rule them, and I can do what I want. So there were hurdles to overcome, of course, to get us out of the Dark Ages, and it was those hurdles that probably were only able to be overcome when you start thinking about technology. And that, again, Brian, thank you. This is a technology conference after all, so we will be talking about technology. And this is my absolute favorite invention of all time. Gutenberg printing press, absolutely. Movable type, ink, paper, simple machines, screws and levers. All of a sudden, books could be printed and were accessible to the masses. It brought about probably the most important time in history. We're looking at the Age of Enlightenment. And I've always liked pictures of my heroes on here. Galileo, Da Vinci, you know the people. So I was thinking about how that changed education. So we moved from the 14th century and we move into the 17th, 18th centuries, and this is a schoolhouse in Waterloo. This is the first schoolhouse in Waterloo. We institutionalized education. We decided that education was so important that everyone was going to have an education. We started taking technology. We started to think about ways to bring it about, just like the printing press changed education in the past. How is technology going to change it in the future? Well, it always, you know, there are things that don't happen. This is a regular sight near my house. Mennonites driving with their horse and buggy. Even the Home Depot has a place to park your horse. But Mennonites have something that you may not be aware of. They use cell phones on Thursdays. Reason's simple, cattle auction day. So even though they reject technology, they know what's important to them. Farm life needs technology. That's how they communicate when they are dealing with their farms. So technology, education, how are we moving forward? And what piece of technology is taking us into that 21st century? Well, we still have people who resist us. As I said, we're the 1%ers. And we have all heard that conversation. I need to cover my curriculum. I like to uncover it, but cover my curriculum. I just always want to say that. To them, education is a pendulum, always swinging back and forth. But like a broken clock, you're only right twice a day. So these people are sticking to old models that don't work, hoping they'll be right again someday. So we need to think about that industrial model of education. Do we need it? Do we need to take those kids that are happy, sift and sort, and force them into career paths that they may not be choosing for themselves? I, on the other hand, like to think of education now, today, as a wave that constantly moves forward. Now, I'll be honest with you, it does have ups and downs. It's pretty too, right? I think this is my favorite graph too, because I automatically thought of smart boards. Remember that time of inflated expectations and all of a sudden that trough of disillusionment? Okay, the optimism in me says the slope of enlightenment was when I discovered I had a data projector in my room and I could hook stuff up to it. So now we have all these devices available to kids. We have mobile devices and access to the world's information. So, with that information, what are they going to do with it? I love this as well. I have no reason to have this slide, I just wanted to have it. So, people always say, what about educators? What is their role? With the internet, we don't need teachers, we don't need schools, because information's everywhere. Well, I'm sorry, we need more teachers because they're the ones who connect the dots. They help kids develop that knowledge, and they help remove those points that are not important and grow that wisdom. So, thank you very much. My passion is to develop a population of free thinkers who will be enlightened, bring about that next enlightenment.
Can everybody see me? Probably not. In 2008, I went to Indonesia to see the Komodo dragons. There, I truly learned what critical thinking and inquiry was all about. Traveling Indonesia was difficult. really, really difficult. Probably because the kids there still learn like this. Not undifferent than most of the world. But as I watched them learn, I wondered, how can we change? How can it be less difficult to travel through this country? Everywhere I travel, I like to see the children, the laughter on their faces, and this is a photo of Indonesian children meeting me at one of the schools that I saw. But I never got to see the dragons. So I had to make a decision. The choice was either be upset over the $2,300 that I had spent to get there, or it was to be okay being unplanned. I sat on a beach and listened to a 17-year-old boy explain to me how he left Sumatra to find work. His mom needed money. Where do you sleep, I asked him. On the beach. Where do you bathe, I asked him. In the ocean. I was a new scuba diver, and everything under the sea was amazing. I saw sharks, I saw rays, I saw giant barracuda. And as you move through the ocean moves past you. You see a lot, but you miss a lot. 9 years later, with 200 hours under my belt of scuba diving, I've learned to slow down, to look and to see. Seasoned divers swim around trying to keep up, relying on the dive guide to shape their experience. When I first saw my first seahorse, I looked for days. I heard it was around. I got location. I scouted it out. It took me 15 hours to find him. I pointed. I called my friend over. We looked back, and it was gone. This little here is a blenny. Blennies like to hide. They go back into their hole. I had to teach him to trust me to come out. I spent 15 minutes with him, and then I got that photo. This here is just a random saying from the gym down the street from me. Showing before implies there is an after, and they don't show before and after workout photos. And I respect that. I spent 5 weeks backpacking Thailand, most of that time along the Thai-Burmese border. As a tourist, that's not the place you go in Thailand. What happened doing that was that I got to meet the people. They invited me into their home. They said, come to the monastery and meet the monks. Meet the children and learn. Learn about them, speak to them, find out their ways. Come into our house and eat our food. Do you like the curry? Is it spicy? And because of that, I became a richer person. Because of their stories. Because of what they shared with me. Because I wasn't in a rush. I planned my slide deck and put in all the photos before I wrote what I was going to say. And then when I got to this, I was like, it doesn't make sense anymore. But who cares? I'm not ashamed of that picture. I'm just going to leave it in there anyway. On the island of Tanataroja in Sulawesi, and they have a very bizarre relationship with death. They bury their children in the trees if they die before the age of 3, so that they continue to grow with the tree, because everybody deserves a chance to grow. I love watching monkeys steal things from people. The way they plan, the way they look, the way they go and grab that water bottle or that flip-flop, that inspires me. Why can't we all just be like that? Just do it. This is an arrow crab. I used to call it a sea spider because I didn't know any better. You'll notice that I had a little blue claw. I'm not going as fast as my slides. To get that photo, you have to lay in the sand, you have to position your camera, and you have to hold your breath, focus, and take the picture. It's really hard to do. When I finally made it to Myanmar, because I'd always wanted to go to Burma because I love Seinfeld, and Peterman went to Burma, that was his favorite place, I realized that everywhere you go, it's full of Buddhas. Buddhas, 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 Buddhas. How many Buddhas can one person take? Relax, pay attention. You might never see a Buddha again. This is the last slide, and I have way more cue cards, but who cares?
Mistine Clapp, everyone.
When I started putting this presentation together, I really started focusing on leadership and this passion that I have for
educational leadership. But the more I started thinking about my key to educational reform, the more I started thinking that it didn't lie in leadership, it lies in teachers and educators in general. I truly believe that we are the key to the change that we want to see in the system. Everyone here tonight believes the same thing because you are here because you want to make change and make a difference in the lives of other people. And you are the people we need to look to see the capacity that our system has. Growing up, I didn't want to be a teacher. All I wanted to do was change lives. And now I can see that we have that opportunity every day and every year our students walk into our classrooms. I do believe in leaders. I believe that we have the power to change the face of education, whether you're a system level leader or a classroom leader. In roles like mine, I can only hope to influence one teacher at a time and maybe one class at a time. I do have a vision for roles like mine and that of the district, a model like this one where we all meet together and collaboratively we try to bring our students up higher and student learning higher. I believe that when we all work together, we are going to be able to reach every single student in all of our classes. We all have strengths to bring to the table, and we all have weaknesses that we need help with. Together, we can handle anything and everything teaching throws at us. I also believe that big goals lead to big things for both us as well as our students. We need to set goals for ourselves and set high expectations so our students can see that we are role models and that we too want to do great things. I believe in every single educator and administrator that I work with. I believe that everybody got into this profession because they wanted to make a difference in the lives of different people and they wanted to see change at the system level. I know that all of these people are doing great things in their classrooms, in their schools, because I see them and I know that they are trying their absolute best to do everything they can for their students and their people to succeed and do great things. However, I know that there are going to be bad days. There are going to be days where we need each other around us to pull us out of the dark places and back into the light. I know that we need to be brave and step forward towards growth, and that this is sometimes going to be a difficult thing. And I know what needs to be done and taught combined with change is a really difficult thing for people. But I believe that everyone I work with can learn along with their students, and I believe taking that risk and learning is an important journey we all need to take together. I believe that when we take those new attempts that we are going to fail sometimes, and I know that because I have failed, and in front of a class full of students nonetheless. But when I failed, I got back up again, and I learned from my mistakes, and that was an important lesson for my students. I know that trying new things is tough, but teaching is tougher, and you guys are even tougher than that. And I know that sometimes you're going to want to throw in the towel, you're going to go home and have that extra glass of wine, but you deserve it because you are human too, and we all have bad days. But those good days are perfect for trying something new, and I guarantee you there is going to be a group of educators standing behind you to support you and be proud of you when you are trying new things, because we are all a family. A family is together through thick and thin. Teachers, administrators, volunteers, we all need to work together every day to make sure that everything in our schools goes off without a hitch. We need to do this because we are all in it together. I believe I have a vision that teachers should be bringing up other teachers all of the time. We should be pushing each other further, developing each other every single day because we are teaching the same generation. We are teaching the same students, and we need to make sure they have the best that they can. We need to set those high expectations and demand success, not only of our students, but of ourselves, our fellow teachers, and our administrators as well. We are all on the same team. There is nothing that can go wrong when we raise other people and we bring other people higher. And I think we really need to encourage this in our system to make sure that everybody works together and shares what they're doing. I truly believe that you are the key to the changes that we want to see in our system. The key to educational reform does not lie solely in leadership in positions like mine. It lies in the everyday acts of leadership that I see in your schools, your classrooms, from teachers, administrators, and students. I know that you're doing amazing things in your classroom, and I know that you are a strong, amazing teacher. But I promise, together we are all stronger.
Lee Martin, everyone!
Thank you. So it's called a changeover.
the movie goes on, and nobody in the audience has any idea that anything has changed. My name is Lee Martin, and I love the fact that I'm surrounded by the people that inspire me every day. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ignite Club. The first rule. First rule of Ignite Club is you must talk at Ignite Club. We are surrounded by educators who crush it every day, so talk to people. The second rule is you must inspire others through Ignite Club, so when you leave here, go on and share that inspiration. Rule number 3, if you teach, educate, support children, then you have an obligation to make a plan to change the world, because we're not doing it for the paycheck, people. Come on, man. I've only been doing this for years and I figured that out. Rule number 4, aspire to be the best. Set a goal. In our field, there is this ridiculous taboo that if I say to a colleague, hey, I'm going to set a plan, create a goal to become the best teacher that I can be, they look at you like you're a madman. Yet in every other vocation, setting a goal to be amazing is expected. And one day, if you set the right goals, you just might create a classroom where kids are breaking down the door to learn from you. And that is an amazing place to be in. Rule number 5. Now listen, I understand we work in a standardized type of system. But I ask you to focus, to fight for not standardization, but inspiration. And by taking these kids not as data and not as a test, but as human beings. And to go out there and to see them shine in the world. See them shine at a hockey rink. See them shine at their birthday party. See them shine at a restaurant where they are the star. Make an adventure for them. Because they will take that and they will try to empower the world, which is rule number 6. And if they say to you, Monsieur, will you please drive 5 hours to another country just so we can see that our change can happen in the world, then you get in your nasty minivan with your family and on March break you drive to Flint, Michigan. And this is the first time in 4 years that I have stood in front of an amazing group of educators where I have not had my amazing group of students standing beside me. So if you have the opportunity to empower your students by presenting, I empower you by doing that. The 7th rule, be a damn risk taker. Thank you. I understand that in the system that we work in, we're spending too much time thinking about that side, and we need to focus on the other side, because can you believe below the border that students between K to 12 do over 126 standardized tests? And I get the pressure. I'm an EQAO year. I teach grade 3. But if you present your kids with an environment that fosters perseverance, grit, self-esteem, when you teach them that making a mistake is a learning opportunity, something that will make them stronger, then when those monsters, when those challenges, when those hard times come around at the end of the year, they don't meet them with fear, they meet them as lions. And there is nothing more powerful than a kid who walks up to EQO and says, I got you. Now, some of you might be thinking, didn't he already do rule number 7? But it's you. It's not because I made a mistake on my presentation. But the point is that I want to talk about one other thing. Just let it go. We have to let go of that fear. We have to stop trying to be the experts. We have to be okay with not being the experts, because the awesomeness that I have seen come out of kids when teachers finally just let it go and embrace the fact that they too can create that classroom that kids want to break the door down, because they're taking chances and they're learning with their kids. They're not learning for their kids and doing it for them. That this creates an environment where those kids are there. Now, we're not a multinational corporation. I said that earlier. We don't have any money. But we can fight to create those type of opportunities for our kids. My charity, Computers for Change, has raised almost $40,000 to empower kids in the last 2 years, and that's something I'm extremely proud of. And I'm proud of my kids. Awesome font. And the last rule of Fight Club is, if you educate, inspire, nurture, care, support, feed, guide, mentor, and committed for your life to empowering children, then you have to fight, because we will not find success unless you do. Because those who are crazy enough to believe they can change the world are the ones who often do. Thank you so much.
Hi, everyone, and no one knows who I am, because I have to admit I am not a big Twitterer. Haven't been. I started my journey in collaborative learning, and what I'm passionate about is connecting children and connecting students and teachers. throughout the world. And I just want to read a quote from one of my heroes. I wonder if young people were actively engaged in all aspects of society and thought of themselves as community leaders, problem solvers, role models, mentors, and stakeholders, how would the world change? So in 2003, I started connecting with other classes when it was really hard. We were not allowed to use email with our kids. There wasn't Twitter, there wasn't Facebook. So we were using things called bulletin boards on our computers. And we connected with a class in Japan. And we made peace cranes, and they made the Sadako cranes, and we sent them to Japan, and they were put at the Sadako Memorial. And my journey lasted till 2015 when I retired. And then I became a recovering teacher, and now I'm working with Taking It Global, and I'm one of their educational consultants. And what we do is we help foster global citizenship, student voice, and environmental stewardship through programs that connect students and teachers in learning. And it's a really powerful tool. And I just want to tell you about a couple of the tools and then the program that I'm really passionate about. One of the tools that you can use when you forgot to do your day book is International Days. And you can go on their site and find the International Day, and it's International Polar Bear Day. And it has all of the resources there listed for you. They also have things called Global Encounters where you can meet the experts. You can meet people who are in tundra buggies, and they bring those experiences into your classrooms, and former child soldiers. That little guy in the corner, his name is Mohammed Sidibe, and he is a former child soldier who we also connected with through something called Global Dignity Day, where we bring lots of students together in these mass video conferences. And he'll talk about his experiences as a former child soldier, and also people from Rwanda who are survivors of genocide, and they connect with kids and talk about these issues. Taking It Global has developed games, and they work with partners to put up games on topics that matter, things like mental health, and keeping a family alive in Haiti, and what does it take to keep a family alive in Haiti. We also have ways to connect teachers through Taking It Global Education, where there's professional development, there's resources for your kids, and there's ways in which you can connect with teachers from other parts of the world in classroom spaces, and also take courses in social innovation and learning to create entrepreneurship in your students. But the program that I'm really excited about being able to work with, and why I am recovering now as a teacher, and it's really brought me back into classes, is working with a program called Connected North. And Connected North connects our most vulnerable and our most isolated teachers and students from all over Canada. And Cisco has put telepresence units in all of these schools. We're going to be in 30 schools the next year. And we provide professional development. We provide mentors for these students. We provide virtual field trips and take these kids and make them feel like they're part of Canada, because they are. So how cool is it that I get to pick up one of my favorite Valentine stories? And this teacher, all she wanted to do was to make Valentines for her kids. She couldn't go to the dollar store to pick up the stuff. There is no dollar store in the Northwest Territory, so I sent the stuff up there, and we made Valentines together. We really think it's important that students understand and know how important it is to be sharing their culture. So we connect Indigenous artists and have the students celebrate with drumming and dancing. We brought the Science Center into Taking It Global, and those programs that we get to go to on a bus, we brought it to them. And see that little yellow thing that says Noisemaker? One of the kids who did this program with us way up in Nunavut said, I have that. I annoy my brother with that. We can bring them a real dead body to study. And this is so cool. This video conference, I don't recommend that you do this during your lunch hour. I did. But this guy, his name is Ray, and he shows the kids how to keep healthy and what happens if you do have lung cancer, and he'll bring up not healthy lungs. And the kids say, that's really cool to see a real live dead body. We have mentors, Indigenous mentors, that will talk to the students about entrepreneurship. The person at the bottom was Mary Spencer, and she's an Olympic boxer. The Royal Tyrrell Museum will come into your classroom and come into those classrooms and talk to the kids about being a paleontologist and telling them about career paths. And the last one, this gentleman is a residential school survivor. He was the best friend of Channy Wenjack, the subject of the song The Path from Gord Downey, and he spoke to the kids about being a residential school survivor. So how passionate was that? So I just want to leave you again with Jen's quote, how can the world change if we can connect our students and we can make them feel passionate about Canada and being part of the world? So thank you.
to actually speak to what Carlo had said about the 1% because I really truly believe in all of you and all of the work that you do. And I really do admire and I'm inspired by everything that you do when I see it on social media and I read your blog posts. Zoe Brannigan Pipe inspired me a few years ago, and she said, you know, it's these kinds of people that live on the fringe. And so Carlo had referred to it as that 1%. And when I think about it as that fringe, we're kind of on the outside. There's a few of us here today that have probably been spoken to once or twice in their careers because they were making decisions in kids' best interest, but possibly were against the rules. And there's quite a few of you nodding, Andrew. Pointing back at me. Yes, that is also true. I live on the fringe. I'm proud to live on the fringe, and I hope that you are all proud to live on the fringe too, because we want to encourage our students. Why are my slides not rolling? I'm like 3 minutes in. I'm just kidding. We want to encourage our students to be outside the box thinkers, right? And to not be that mold. Don't be the mold. And so I think everybody here can totally appreciate and relate to not being the mold. I don't have slides, so I'm just going to count. Mrs. Boudreau took a chance on me when I was in grade 10, and that's the reason I'm standing here today, and I'm forever grateful for that decision that she made. Because in grade 10, I took a media studies class because it fit my course load. I went to a small high school where certain courses weren't offered because there was only 200 people at my high school. So I took a media studies course in grade 10. It was a grade 11 course because it actually fit my timetable. And we had to do a research project, and we had to look up a pop star, and we had to sort of curate information from obviously the internet in those days. And I said to her, I said, you know, I'm not much one of a cut and paste kind of an individual. Would it be okay if I made a website? The year was 1994. And she said, I don't know what a website is, but yes. And I think about how we empower our students today, and we talk about empowering our students to want to follow their passions, you know, passion projects and Genius Hour. Mrs. Boudreau said, I have no idea what you're talking about, but I believe in you and you're going to pull this off. And I said to her, in order to create this website, not only do I have to learn about this pop star, I have to learn HTML. And by now she's completely lost, but she believed in me. And I wanted to learn HTML because my dad was a self-employed mortgage broker, and he was trying to figure out how to make a calculator so that people could calculate amortization on his personal website. And I was fascinated by that because it was authentic. So I started to learn HTML, and I created this website on Tupac. And she said, I don't know if this is appropriate. And I had long hair because I also wanted to be Kurt Cobain at the time. It was really crazy in my life. I didn't really know where I was headed or what I was doing. But when it came time to present and everybody had put up their posters, they were wonderful posters, by the way, I said, now we have to march down to the computer lab. But guess what? We didn't have a cloud back then, if you can believe that. So what I had done is I had handwritten my website address, www.angelfire.com/TupacIsAwesome/ a bunch of letters and numbers. And I expected all of my peers to be able to fire up Netscape and write that down and write that in. Half the class got to my Tupac website, and I was okay with that because my Tupac website ran, and I actually had a little JavaScript function on it that I wasn't so sure would run on the version of Netscape that happened to be running on the school's computers. The point of my story is Mrs. Boudreau took a chance on me, and because of that one moment, I went into computer science because I was inspired by what it could do and what it had done for me. Now, Mrs. Boudreau was bragging in the staff room, as we all do when kids in your class do really cool things. You're like, yep, that was me. That was my student, everyone. She was doing that in the staff room, and the principal had found out about it, and so he actually approached me, and this is where it gets really ironic and funny. A friend of mine also was learning HTML, and he made a website about how shitty our high school was, and he got expelled. So the principal then comes to me and says, listen, can you make a good one? And I said, I can totally make a good website. So I actually made the first ever Harrow District High School website when I was 15 years old. Neither the website nor high school still exist. I built this thing in, I want to say I built it in like WordPerfect and exported to HTML, made $100. It took me about 25 minutes, and I was like, this is the greatest gig ever. So I started making websites for all the small mom and pop shops in the school community, and I thought there's something here. But the point of my story is that the decision Mrs. Boudreau made actually allowed me to create a paid web portfolio before I graduated high school. And that's where we live today. Our students don't believe they have to go to university in order to get a good job. Now, I went to university because I thought I had to go to university to get a good job, and I ended up studying computer science, and look, I got the greatest job in the world. I have no idea how I ended up in a grade 5 LTO having studied computer science, but I did, and so I made it my niche to teach to my strengths because I wanted kids to recognize the passions that I had. And so I started an after-school coding club, and this goes back about 12 years now. And not because I was super progressive in 2005, but because I taught to my strengths and I didn't know anything else because I was fresh out of the faculty. The point of my story is I was in this environment and this space where kids were following their passions and creating really cool content, and I started to recognize the curriculum. I thought in those days that I had to know everything there is to know about apps and tools and technology, and it was taking a burden on me and it was wearing me out as I'm trying to get a contract job. So I put it aside and realized that if I'm going to get a gig, it's going to be because I can answer every curriculum question they throw at me in an interview. So I started reading curriculum documents. And when I started recognizing what the kids were doing in those Scratch environments, and it wasn't just Scratch, but predominantly Scratch, when I started recognizing the math curriculum, and we look at the constructivist learning theory of Jean Piaget, I thought this makes sense, but I have no idea how to evaluate this. So I have spent my entire career faking grades because they don't make any sense to me. And if you're an intermediate teacher, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because we have to make up numbers after providing benchmarked rubrics. Now, we talk about risk-taking in education as being something that's probably important, but we live in a society or a system in which failure is punished. So how do we embrace failure in the same context of there's too much risk in not getting the grade? I often think there's two student profiles in my classroom, those that like grades and those that don't like grades. And I think those that like grades are driven by grades, and they don't want to take a risk because there's too much risk in not getting the grade. They want the learning goal, they want the success criteria, and they want to do exactly what I've modeled with my exemplar. Now, the other profile of student that's not necessarily driven by grades, well, they're frickin' doing their own thing already, what we now call genius hour, because they don't give a crap, because they think the other profile has all the answers, and they don't want to feel vulnerable. If your best work is a C+, how do you motivate that student to want to perform better? And I'm a grade 8 teacher, so I really struggle with putting marks on a report card in June and then sending students into a stream where they will be successful in high school. I'm not sure what the solution is, but I really value the play-based learning we have in kindergarten. I really value the work of Reggio Emilia and play-based learning and the environment being the third teacher in the room. I value the constructivist learning theory, which ironically I learned about by reading in a book when I took a psychology course in university. It didn't actually make any sense to me until I started seeing students construct their own knowledge of mathematics by making sprites move around a Scratch screen. That's when I finally constructed my own knowledge of constructivism by watching kids do the same thing in mathematics. And I have no idea how to quantify those places and those spaces. But I do believe we need to move into a qualitative, kind of a feedback-driven environment. There is nothing wrong with assessment. Assessment is absolutely phenomenal, and great assessment keeps kids moving. It's the evaluation piece that I struggle with, and I would love to have conversations with you about that, particularly secondary and particularly students of grades that are below me. I think about my niece Evelyn, who I love to death, and when she was learning to walk for the first time, my brother and his wife stood her 10 steps apart, and I use steps kind of as a joke because that's the unit of measure in Scratch. They were 10 steps apart, and my brother said, "Come to me, Evelyn, come to me," and his wife was standing on the other side of the room, and Evelyn took 2 steps and fell. And they cheered for that 2 out of 10. They said it's 2 out of 10 today, it's 4 out of 10 tomorrow, we're going to teach you how to walk, you're going to master walking, then I'm going to teach you how to ride a bike, then I'm going to teach you how to rollerblade, and you're going to learn how to drive a car. Because it's about a mastery of learning. My name's Brian Aspinall. I believe all kids can achieve if given a fair chance in learning. Thank you.